I had no idea that I wanted to be an engineer, basically right up until college.
I've wanted to be a civil engineer since I was about 7.
And I was never one of those kids that was like always building things, taking things apart.
I used to play with Legos a lot. That was a big thing for me.
And my dad would teach me and show me how to use these machines in our garage, the bandsaw, table saw, hand drills.
And so my parents used to joke, oh, you're gonna be an engineer when you grow up, because of this love of just like building and creating.
And I realized I loved tinkering.
I wasn't really sure what engineers did. I knew they were in charge of building or designing something, but I wasn't really sure exactly how that worked.
I used to think that engineers were much more mechanical, I guess, like working with like metals and in shops and stuff.
How the heck does an iPhone work? And how does it connect with another iPhone? How can you send messages?
No one in my family is an engineer.
How do people keep building all these really cool things? Is there like some kind of school or academy or like, I don't know, some kind of magical secret that everyone knows but me?
Knowing that college was coming up was very overwhelming for me because I was like, how am I supposed to choose something when I like it all, you know?
In high school, I realized that I actually really like programming and robotics and computer science, and I thought the Ideas program would give me an opportunity to integrate my passions and not have to choose one.
So I'm actually in the IBE program, which is the Integrated Business and Engineering program. So I was able to take both engineering and business classes.
And so it's a really unique program that combines an engineering discipline with a business one. And so I'm very entrepreneurial. I actually have been thinking about starting a business for a very long time.
Environmental engineering sounded like a perfect fit because not only could I pursue my interest in the environment, but I could also work to create practical solutions to a lot of pressing global environmental issues.
In mechanical, you know, there's aerospace, there's product design, there's manufacturing, there's so many different facets to it. And so it really was appealing to me.
I got my acceptance letter from Lehigh and I was ecstatic. I applied to the computer engineering department.
I chose civil engineering primarily because I wanted to work on huge scale projects. I wanted to be able to work on thof that impacted millions of lives every day.
Lehigh was my perfect school.
The buildings looked cool. They looked like something straight up out of a Harry Potter movie or novel.
Lehigh has so much open space on a beautiful campus. During the nice times of the year, you'll see students on our Memorial Green throwing frisbees or just reading their books or on blankets, just having picnics with friends.
And you always see a familiar face on campus. You know, there's so many people here, but it's not so many that you completely get lost.
Man, I just felt this is where I'm supposed to be.
I wanted to have a school that had all the resources that would allow me to explore the things that I was interested in, but also ones that didn't have enormous class sizes and ones where professors would know my name and be there to help me if I ever needed it.
I toured a lot of places when I was trying to decide on a college, and Lehigh stood out for having not only very brilliant, but very friendly professors.
I can email my professor at almost any hour of the day, and they'll likely get back to me within a few hours. Some have even been able to meet like past 9 p.m., which I've never really heard of at other schools.
I knew the professors here really cared about teaching you how to think.
If you just go to them and ask for help and you sort of, bring down your ego a little bit, they're actually really nice and they're really there to help you out along the way.
They always say, don't just come to me when you're really, really struggling. Like if you just have a question or if you just want to say hi, come hang out.
And it's just been great to have that personal connection with a professor.
And one of the great things here is your professors, because your classes are often smaller when you get into your major, are really supportive of you.
One thing about Lehigh that I think sets it apart is we're a very competitive engineering school, but we're not competitive amongst ourselves as students in our coursework. We really have the mindset of help each other learn, not individual, I'm trying to be better.
Everybody is really rooting for each other, which is really special to me, especially in engineering, because sometimes it can get really cutthroat. Everybody wants the better job, everybody wants the better grade, but here it's just a very collaborative environment, I think.
For chemical engineering, there's one track that everyone follows. So you take a lot of the same classes with the same students and you get to know everyone really well, and it builds a cohort almost in your grade. And it does feel like a team that's moving throughout undergraduate together.
When you hear the engineering major, you hear this enormous amount of work and think, oh, I won't have time to do all this fun stuff. College is meant to be a fun time. I will say that having been through almost 3 years of that fun time, it is definitely possible, 100%.
I would say that the best part about Lehigh has been finding like this balance that incorporates my academic life with my social life, because there's so much opportunities around campus to get involved.
I'm on the United States snowboard racing team. I am a part of the Lehigh Marching 97. I'm in symphonic band. I'm on Lehigh Formula SIE.
I wanted to try new things. I didn't play ultimate frisbee in high school. I was just a runner.
Another club I joined here at Lehigh is the Lehigh Cheese Club, which is very interesting. Not many schools have something like this.
In terms of research is definitely very prevalent within the engineering school, and I'd say for anyone interested in it or even on the fence about it, definitely try it. There's a lot of opportunities to work with different professors and graduate students to do your own research.
And professors honestly love to have kids on their research. They love bringing and inviting kids on because they want to show kids the future, but then they also need help.
So my 2 internships were at a company called Evonik. So Evonik is a German chemicals company.
I was an engineering department intern at a company called Konica Minolta.
It was crazy to see that, I had an impact of working with some of this medicine that people were using.
I worked at Bristol Myers Squibb as a clinical flow cytometry intern.
And I was able to work on this real-life consulting problem, which was really the first time that I was able to get my hands on something that I would potentially actually be doing when I graduated.
We were working on essentially a custom foot brace for a patient who had foot drop.
I was reading basically a lot of data sets that pertain to clinical trials, first-in-human clinical trials, which was so cool because I actually had a piece in the action of starting a new cancer drug, which was awesome.
And then the second semester, we really got into prototyping, figuring out what materials we needed, testing those materials, figuring out how to test those materials in a way that is going to be useful for the project.
And one of the things I'm most grateful for having that internship was it taught me what I really like and it taught me what I really don't like.
But I had this picture in my mind of what was being done with this in the real world.
When the time came that I was applying for internships and a job for myself after school, that really set me apart. And those skills were something that really made me unique in the eyes of the interviewers and the companies that I was applying to, because it wasn't something that the other people I was competing against really had under their belt either.
Whenever I go to an interview now, I always talk about problems that came up in my capstone and how we overcame them. So it's been super helpful just to have that experience.
Having an internship already on your resume definitely helps with getting your foot through the next door.
I actually recently accepted a job for after graduation, so I'll be working at the Naval Nuclear Laboratory.
This coming summer, I will be a launch engineer for SpaceX at Cape Canaveral.
So I actually already have a position lined up for after my time at Lehigh, working for Lockheed Martin in their Advanced Electronics Packaging Group.
I'm actually returning there full-time to work in their cell therapy rotational program.
So I'm very, very lucky to be in a position where I have a job lined up for both this coming summer and after I graduate.
I'll be working at PwC doing mergers and acquisitions.
Now I'm looking at grad schools.
I'm very excited. I don't think there's a lot of sophomores that can say, oh yeah, I'm a rocket scientist.
Ultimately, I see myself working in environmental epidemiology, focusing on waterborne diseases and climate change health effects.
I want to transform vehicles from what they were to something more.
My opinion is make a difference in any way you can. It's a lot easier when you're an engineer.
Engineering is a whole different ball game. It's a whole different world.
One of the biggest things that I've realized is that everything an engineer has touched.
They do incredible things.
You're oftentimes responsible for the lives of millions of people, whether it's something as simple as a seatbelt clasp or a bridge.
Engineering impacts almost everything around us.
The mindset that we train engineers to have is very unique and applicable to any field that you want to go in.
You have so many resources and so much knowledge coming out of college that you can really do anything with it.
I think I'm going to be able to do a lot of good in the world because of my profession.
Lehigh's really good at preparing you to think and work like a professional engineer.
So in terms of that making an impact portion, there is no better way to do it than as an engineer, because you have that ability to touch everything around you and make that impact in any way possible.
I am capable, and whether I want to or not, I will be changing the life of someone, so why not change it for the better?
My Lehigh experience has just been so amazing. I wish I could stay here. My name is Sabrina Jedlicka. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs here at Lehigh University's P.C. Rossin College of Engineering and Applied Science. When I went to college, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I didn't really know what engineering was all about. And then I had a faculty member, actually my math professor, who came up to me after the semester was over and said, "What are you studying?" And I said, "I want to be a neurosurgeon." He said, "You might want to think about engineering." So I started to read everything I could about engineering. Now, I was lucky. I had a grandfather who was an engineer. But basically all I had learned from him was that engineering was about computers and cars. That really wasn't what I was interested in. And so I started to read. I devoured every possible piece of literature I could about being an engineer. I read stories about engineers. And what I found throughout all of those stories is that engineering was about problem solving. It was about solving problems to help people. And then it dawned on me, the thing that I thought I could do with neurosurgery was help people. But I could do that at a much larger scale by becoming an engineer. So I am an active researcher. I have a lab with PhD students, with undergraduates, and we're working on an amazing project related to osteoarthritis. So we work with a local orthopedic surgeon on bone marrow extracts, and we're interested in learning more about what makes bone marrow a potent therapeutic agent. These patients are people who are suffering from pain that I can't even imagine. And these types of injections could potentially help to alleviate that pain. I live for the moment where a student realizes what engineering is all about and the vast impact that they could have as engineers out in the world. So here at Lehigh Engineering, you have opportunities to make an impact locally, to make an impact globally, to make an impact on biomedicine, to make an impact in the energy industry, to make an impact in infrastructure, to make an impact in practically any way you want. We have opportunities, programs, faculty, mentors, other students who are all here ready to help you take that next step into the impact that you want to make on the world. So if you're a student who enjoys solving problems, if you want to make your mark on humanity, if you want to help people, consider engineering as your future field of study. And more importantly, consider Lehigh Engineering. I think this would be a great place for you.